he never carried a gun. He never threw a punch. His only weapons were a keyboard, a brilliant mind, and an unshakable belief in justice. He was known only by a single letter, and he was the only person on Earth who could look a god in the eye and call him a liar.
There's no way. What's he talking about? If he really was L, he'd never admit to it. I thought this guy was a bit strange, but this is pretty extreme.
Interest in academics. They seek friendship, even though they do not know how to love. If I were to encounter such a monster, I would likely be eaten by it. Because in truth, I am that monster.
When a mysterious force named Kira begins executing criminals globally, the world is thrown into chaos. Is it a miracle? A curse? For the enigmatic detective known as L, it was a puzzle. And from the shadows, he made the single most brilliant deduction that would define the entire case. Kira was in Japan. With that, the greatest manhunt in history began. But L wasn't your typical detective. He was a ghost, a theoretical entity that only a handful of people had ever seen. He lived on a diet of pure sugar, sat in a crouch that defied human anatomy, and saw the world as a giant chessboard. His greatest strength was his ability to think completely outside the box. The moment L directly challenged Kira on live television, the game was set. It was a battle of two perfect minds. Light Yagami, the god of the new world, and L, the guardian of the old one. But L did something even more genius. He forced his prime suspect, Light Yagami, to work side by side with him. Imagine being hunted by the very person you're helping. This was psychological warfare at its finest. Every conversation was a trap. Every glance was an analysis. Their relationship is the heart of Death Note. It's a twisted friendship built on mutual respect and the absolute desire to see the other destroyed. L knew Light was Kira. Light knew that L knew. The question was, who could prove it first? So what made L's mind so unique? Let's break down his psychology. 1. Radical objectivity. L was almost entirely logic-driven. He stripped away emotion, bias, and convention to see the raw data underneath. This is why he could suspect a model student like Light Yagami with zero hesitation. 2. Embracing eccentricity. His bizarre habits weren't just for show. They were optimized for his thought process. The sugar fueled his brain. The unusual sitting posture increased his concentration. He built his entire environment to serve his intellect. 3. The burden of certainty. Here is L's tragic flaw. His deductions were so accurate that he operated on 99% certainty. But against a foe like Kira, that 1% margin of error was fatal. He needed absolute proof, and that need for perfection ultimately gave his enemy the time to outmaneuver him. L did not defeat Kira. He was defeated, not by a superior mind, but by a supernatural power he couldn't have foreseen. His death remains one of the most heartbreaking moments in anime. He dies alone, knowing he was right all along, but his legacy is what matters. L proved that you don't need godlike powers to challenge a god, you just need the truth. He laid the entire groundwork for Kira's eventual downfall. He was the foundation upon which Nier and Mello built their victory. He represents a crucial idea, that justice must be procedural, fair, and grounded in law. It cannot be left to the whims of a single individual, no matter how righteous they seem. L was more than a detective. He was a symbol, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming power, one brilliant, dedicated individual can make all the difference. So what do you think? Was L the true hero of Death Note? Could he have won if he had been just a little less principled? If you enjoyed this dive into the mind of a genius, make sure to subscribe. We've explored the monster Johann Liebert and the god complex of Light Yagami. Thanks for watching. Remember, some names, or in this case letters, are more than just a symbol.